was seized and shaken almost to death. It's important to know that when I went to Oxford, Miami, Ohio, I took for granted that I should have received the Defense Fellowship, National Defense Fellowship. $2,000 plus all tuition covered, books covered. In those days, $2,000 was a lot. I bought a car with it. I paid my one-room efficiency apartment with it, $100 a month. And I thought, oh, of course this is the way it should go. I am so damn smart. And I was smart. I just made the wrong thing out of it. I began to feel, I don't know what to call it, honestly. Words are too simple. If I say loss, it's right, but it's not enough. I began to feel unmoored, and that would be right, but it's not enough to say. And it's not enough to say something was wrong, but oddly enough, without any of the trappings of faith around me now, none at all. It's a college of the world. Literature I was in. I love literature, but you know, it doesn't restrict itself to things Christian like Milton. Talk about Milton. George Herbert. John Donne. Moby Dick. We're just having a little conversation here. He was talking about Christian writers, and I'm probing to see what he's read. I used to take walks at night, every night. I had set myself the program of writing a poem an evening. It was my plan, so that it would come out in the next 2 years as a poet. Poem an evening, and then I would take a walk. Always at night, dark in the night. And it began to be fall, and I think perhaps the chilliness had something to do with it, or the crunching of the leaves. When the wind blew behind me and the dry leaves skittered on the sidewalk, I always imagined children were coming to hear my stories. But I had none. And I remember that I catechized myself. Silly as this sounds. Walking, did I have faith? All right, 3 questions I asked. 1, did I believe that Jesus existed? Yes, I believe that. Not difficult. 2, did I believe that Jesus died on the cross? Yes, for me. It's a little harder to compute. For me, what does that mean? 3, did Jesus rise again from the cross? And I sort of said, yes, I went on. I did not want to pay attention to that much. I did well. I was still doing well, writing and passing grades and getting good grades on my, not just exams, but my papers. But things began to change. Now I'm going to have to do this quick and compactly. You know better. You know that these things happen by degrees, so you scarcely know day to day that it's happening. But I never doubted that God existed. I just didn't like him. And I mean, I did not like him. I kept writing those poems day after day, and every morning I would look at them, and it was terrible. So I tried again, and it was terrible. And I went through a month and a half. I had said in college, I'm going to be one of the greatest poets of my age. Arrogant, that is, but I said it. And I was failing. Now this is why I didn't like God. Because God can dream, and it is. But I'm limited. I can dream, and it may not be. And just that God exists as an infinite makes my sense of my finitude terrible. If there were no infinites in the world, then what I would be and what I was would be just enough. there's God, this infinite, who dreams and it is, who creates and it is. And against that, well, my image was this, truly. I thought of God as this deity lying in bed, sleeping, turns over, arm falls out, knocks 50,000 people in the head, and doesn't even notice. Knocks me in the head. Kills my dream. And now something else began to happen. I took, in my little VW, a trip from Oxford, Ohio, across India, across Illinois, to St. Louis, where my classmates were in seminary. And I was going for something that might feel a little bit like home, community. We'd been together all the way through high school and college, these guys and me. And I got there, and I met some friends, but they were just busy about other things. Randy Grauer was trying to figure out whether to keep going with his girlfriend Hong Kong or to drop her. One thing after the other, they said, hi, they were glad to see me. Those days we didn't hug much. Not like Phil. Or these Christian musicians. But I looked for something from them and it didn't come. And so I began, now I didn't know this, but I know now it was loneliness. I went to chapel and some professor preached on some Lutheran who had died, I don't know, a century ago, praising that dead Lutheran. I got nothing out of it whatsoever. I got into my VW bug and I started driving eastward back and it snowed. And this is how I could tell that I was having trouble. Those big flakes would come down and shoot at the window. And you know that a VW bug window is right. Shoot at me, it scared me. There was one piece of music that I used to get some comfort from, and it was Brahms' First Symphony. One particular part sounded hymnic to me, and I would listen to that over and over again. Lonely. Cosmic loneliness. One alone in the universe. We can pretend that we know one another. We can pretend that love breaks through shields. But when you come right down to it, Walt, you're alone. And it's a cosmic loneliness. Because though there is a God, there is no connection. And the God who is infinite does not love sands on the seashore. I began to become so despairing. I taught a class at 8 a.m. in the morning, and I used to use my alarm clock to wake up. And then it wasn't wakening me up so well. There was a radio station that came on at 6 in the morning. I started lying on the floor so that I would wake up. And I put the radio on next to my ear at 6. The station came on to wake me up. The day came. These are tragic and deep things, but I don't think they're mine alone. The day came when I just lay there awake. 8 o'clock came and passed, and it was my class meeting. And no instructor was coming. In the spring, I had gone to visit somebody else, looking for some kind of a support, some kind of a communication. It didn't work. I was driving home. I had 4 papers that I had to write. My oral exams were coming up for the master's degree in the beginning of the doctorate. And it was Sunday evening, and I said, how can I handle this? I can't get myself to write these 4 papers. On the way home, it came to me. This is my solution. Take incompletes. Monday morning, right away, I went to the dean of the graduate school. Pete Peterson he was. Greek. I don't know where Peterson came from. A short man, a very kind man. And I went in and I presented my proposal to him. Can I said, get incompletes in these 4 courses? And he said, yes, but you can't keep your fellowship then. Oh, agonized I was, and I couldn't even hardly talk. And these words are exactly true. There is divinity. Dr. Peterson said to me, "What's the matter?" And I burst into tears and I said, "I'm having trouble with God." He waited, closed the door so that I could cry. And when I was done, I walked out of his office. The word is wan, hope. It's an old English word. It means that hope is wan, pale. The word is despair. It comes from the Latin word sparrow. Sparrow means I hope. Despair means there is no hope. If you do not hope for tomorrow, there may not be a tomorrow. I started walking through Oxford and out of Oxford. I have no idea where